Welcome in. We are back. Ben Spicer and Kevin Colley bringing you a brand new Bear Bites show here this week. And we're going to talk a little bit about spring sports, what's on the horizon for them. But we'd be remiss if we did not start the show with a big road win, not only for the men's basketball team, but the women's basketball team as well. Going on the road against rival Rio Grande on Tuesday, coming out on top with two big wins. For the women's team, they beat the 9th-ranked Red Storm. And for the men's team, they just continue to build on the success of their conference play. You know, they started 5-11. They're now 13-12. We've talked about it. It seems like they're hitting their strides. But let's just talk about these wins for the basketball program. Very huge and coming at the right time as you get set to get into a conference tournament play.
Yeah, I was so impressed with the poise and grit of both teams. I think that was the best both teams have played all year in any game. The togetherness and just the fight and the winning plays that were made in both games between Trey Beard, who had a career high, and Jariah Steele had a career high in the women's game, who were the leaders point production-wise, to people that, you would look at their numbers and say, this person scored 0 points, but everybody that played made an impact in both those games, and they cared, they fought, dove after loose balls, and treated that game like a true Shawnee State Rio Grande rivalry. And from the get-go, that's all you can ask. But then to end up with the two wins on the road in a hostile environment, where it was probably 3/4 full at least, is tremendous grit and fight and character to do that. The men's game, what can you say about Trey Beard scoring 17 points in both overtimes? That's insane. I mean, he scored 8 points, I think it was, in less than 2 minutes in the second overtime. The game was tied at 66. It becomes 74-66 Shawnee State in a snap of a finger. And I mean, that Rio rallied back to tie it, but where you build that kind of an advantage so quickly, it is so tough to overcome that. And Rio was able to get back in and actually take a 2-point lead, but I think they expended so much energy in that second OT coming back, that guys were able to find a way to make million plays. You look at a guy like Donovan Lovelace. I looked at his efforts in those games at the final minute and a half. He had, I think, 11 points and maybe 4 or 5 rebounds in that game off of memory, but his efforts in that final minute and a half were just as big as anybody. He scored on a layup after A.J. Belton stole a Trey Robertson pass, flipped it up ahead to Corey Gardner, who found Lovelace up for the layup because Donovan gets back and hustles back in transition. Then he comes back on the offensive glass and he gets a rebound off of his own defended shot. And then he gets fouled and hits the free throws to put Shawnee State in front, and then Trey hits the 2 free throws to close it out. And those kind of plays were just quintessential of the game, how it went down all night long. I mean, I think there was 16 ties in that game and 21 lead changes, or a reverse 21 ties, 16 lead changes. That's insane for any basketball game. But that game was a treat by itself. But then you go to the women's game, and that game, it was I think it was about 14 to 16 ties or lead changes in that game as well. And girls just played so tough. I mean, Rio Grande's front line's not easy to defend, with Jasmine Jordan having an outstanding year, first team all-conference caliber year as a freshman, 6'2", is a great player from local Bowie County, and Kaylee Darnell is a terrific talent, and she deserves every bit of the flowers she's receiving. And they did a great job on both of them. Kaylee and Jasmine still got their points because good players are going to get those, but Shawnee State came out and played great defense, especially over the final 2 minutes of the game. I think Rio Grande over the final 3 minutes maybe had 2 baskets, and again, it speaks volumes to how together the defense was in that game. I just think that the way both teams are playing right now, it's going to be hard for anybody in the country to beat them. When the settings are right. I mean, playing together like that, playing team basketball like they did, and playing hard and physical. They're not 5-10 teams in the country better than those two when they're playing like they are. Tuesday night, and that was so fun to watch. It's hard to describe it. It makes you feel good when you see people like showing their full potential on the court, and then the way they handle business. It's just all of it was terrific from top to bottom. The poise, both teams were down. Wait came back. In the women's game, Sinai Gregory hit a really tough runner in the lane late when the game tied at 70, and should have been an and one. Yes, she may have thrown her body back a little bit to create that contact, but it's hard to tell. But it could have been called for sure an and one. She did a great job. Her numbers again, you look at them and they're not overwhelming, but. Like a Jariah is, not 21-9 is really impressive, but you look at 9-4-3 and it's like, okay, decent game. No, I mean, it's better than a decent game because Sanaya played her role, and that's what everybody did, top to bottom, whoever played, men's and women's side, everybody who played and was in that game on the bench should be proud of what they brought, because that's what both teams did. That's championship basketball. That's not just winning basketball. That's championship basketball.
The efforts of both of these coaching staffs have been fun to watch as the season has gone on. So shout out to Coach Hunter and Coach Burrows as well.
Yes.
Senior Day coming up this weekend. So putting a ribbon on the careers of several seniors here at Shawnee State. It should be a fun time. Tell us a little bit about those games.
I would say, IU East on the women's side, IU East has been building, yes, 83-47 victory, which was at that time Shawnee State's 900th program win. Now it's at 9-11. You're just going to have to come in ready to play. I'm really excited just for the three seniors and graduate students that are going to be honored. Sienna Gloucester, no explanation necessary. We're up to 38 double-doubles in 55 games, and she's a first-team all-conference caliber player, and it really, honestly, in my opinion, should be an NAIA All-American of some sort. She's just putting up numbers constantly. You look at 14 and 11, a night, but then also nearly 3 steals. And the rebounds aren't, I'm intentionally missing shots to pad stats. They're legit effort plays that she's going out and making efforts for her team to get and go after boards out of her area, like way out of her area. Again, like I said in the first episode we had, I think probably has the best motor I've seen on women's or men's side here at Shawnee State basketball-wise. Sanaya Gregory's just a poised and controlled point guard who knows how to set the table, does a terrific job, great leadership qualities, love her game, just is very smart, can knock down the big shots, great job finishing in the lane. We saw that against Rygran on multiple occasions. And I love Jada Johnson's physicality, and I love what effort she brings to the game. She's great at hitting shots in the short corners, we talked about on the first episode, but brings a physical edge and toughness that is needed to win championships. And while she's not starting, she's just as crucial as a piece as anybody on the team. So shout out to Jada and Sienna and Sienna for buying into and setting the culture and standard for what winning basketball looks like at Shawnee State. And then on the men's side, we have Fees on for one of our segments, and Fees is a guy that doesn't see a whole lot of playing time, but he came out and scored the first 4 points of the game against Rygran, and that helped get the offense untracked. Fees doesn't score those 4 points, maybe it's an 8 or 10-0 lead for Rye, and the game's totally different at that point. Fees is a guy that he produces and does what he needs to do when his number is called. I was so impressed with him not only in the Rye game. We lost to West Virginia Tech back in December, but he played so hard defensively, playing on-ball defense, and his numbers won't overwhelm anybody, but I'm impressed more with like what I see characteristic-wise with on-ball defense and the little nuances of the game. And games like the West Virginia Tech game, even though that was a 3-point loss for our Bears, he did a terrific job in that game, playing straight up man-to-man defense and hustled all the time and made that game close. It down, I think, double digits, came back and only lost by 3, and then he was a big part of that. Trey Beard, no explanation necessary. I mean, he's over 1,100 points now. He's a top 12 scorer in program history. He's at 230 made threes, so he's only 31 threes away from tying the program record of 261 three-pointers made in a career. And he just, man, that game, other than watching Bailey Cummins drop, I think it was 39-40 on Campbellsville back in 2020. That's the best performance I've probably witnessed of a player in the Shawnee State uniform personally. I'm sure there have been others before my time, but man, it was something to watch. I mean, he just took that game over and put the team on his back in overtime. Corey Gardner is a guy that does a great job setting the table. He's made a huge difference on this team. The ball flows better because, again, he just wants to win. Right. He's fiery, gritty. I love his passion. He brings an edge to this team that's needed. And I love that. And he's played winning basketball. He's from Owensboro High School. They won a state championship his freshman year of high school there. Owensboro, the Red Devils, that's a traditionally big-time program, powerhouse program that's produced numerous college players and KHSAA Hall of Famers and players that have gone on to play professional basketball. So he comes from great stock in basketball realm and fit in right in with this team and came along at the perfect time. A.J. Belton's a guy that's not going to get a lot of attention by opponents, but he should because he's the best on-ball defender on our team.
Efficient, too.
Yeah, very efficient. Like he's a guy that'll take 6 to 8 shots a game and he'll make 4 to 5 of those. You will always see him and you're like, man, his numbers are always between 10 to 12 points, 8, 10, 12 points, but man, does he do it, like you said, efficiently, and he is tough. He takes on the onus of guarding the team's best player quite often. He's just, I know, Rye Grand struggled to get on track from 3, and he was a big reason why, and did a great job defending in the post. Rye didn't really have easy baskets in the post, especially after the first 8 or 10 minutes of the game, and that's a credit to him. He just built so well. You could tell he's really worked hard in the weight room to get right. And then Elkin Ramirez is an excellent shooter who, is close to 900 points for his own collegiate career. Along with Trey, and Corey is a threat to go off at any point, and he's done a great job accepting a role that for the betterment of the team. I know it's not been easy for him, but he's done that. And you got to give a shout out to him because, when his number's called, he's produced. He hit the game winner against Indiana Southeast. That was a huge part in, this winning streak Shawnee State's on, and now, because of those 5 seniors, Shawnee State right now, you could argue, especially after St. Mary of the Woods lost last night to Southeast, which prevented them from clinching their overall regular season title in the auto bid for the conference, that Shawnee State might be the hottest team in the conference running right now. Mm-hmm. And that, 3 months ago, wasn't looking too great. But these 5 seniors have, with their leadership and work ethic, have turned it around, and that's a credit to them. And as you mentioned before, the coaching staff for continuing to believe in those guys and their leadership.
Let's talk a little bit about spring sports now. Shawnee State baseball season is underway. The Bears are 3-4 at the time that we recorded this, but they've had some positives without a doubt, and it's looking like the program again is headed in the right direction. So this should be a fun season. It's shaping up to be a fun and competitive season, I think, Kevin.
I agree. What I love going in is just the environment with the baseball program, just where they're at mentally. You're going to have, every team has disputes or arguments or things. It's going to happen, but this group, to me, puts in the work. Man, they are going in the weight room and they're getting up and doing the 6 a.m.s, and there's accountability and there's strong structure in place. When you've got a coach like Rob Ehlers that went to NAIA, he's been to multiple NAIA final sites, the World Series in Idaho, and was a national runner-up and NAIA Ball Assistant Coach of the Year in 2021 when the Central Methodist out of Missouri went to earn runner-up in the NAIA title game or title series. Says a lot, and you see it every day from Coach Ehlers, what he brings to the table, the movement, the ability just to process things, and just the overall just gritty, tough, I'm here, I want to be here, I want to be the first one in, and I want to stay until I'm the last one in the office to leave. Like, you see that from him. And it shows the culture is just, it's as good as I've ever seen it here in my time within the baseball program. Just there's a belief that you can go out and win series and you can go out and compete. 3-4 right now, but against Bruton Parker, which was a series, yes, they lost all 3 games, but in all 3 games, Shawnee State was down, probably 4 or 6 runs, came back and either tied the game or come within 2 to 4 runs of winning the game. So it's a team that's not going to give up till the last out. Last year, I think we're down 9 runs to West Virginia Tech, only lost by 2 in an elimination game conference tournament play, and down to the final out when that was occurring. So this team competes. Like, I just love that. I mean, I love it, and Nolan Tressler is a first-team all-conference guy. Carson Wireman is a guy that, putting in the work, could be one of the best pitchers to, if not possibly the best pitcher to ever pitch here. He's been tremendous, and is out of Greenup County that they produce baseball player after baseball player after baseball player that goes out and produces collegiately and just knows the game well. And then Jace Parnan and Mason Reed are 2 newcomers that have been huge. Parnan at second base and Reed at third, that have filled in necessary holes and done a great job at those in their roles, and continue to and have produced with averages over 400. And alongside Nolan Tressler, who's the leadoff hitter, who's hit safely in 37 out of the last 39 games. That's a dynamic 1-2-4 right off the rip. So between those guys and guys like Zach Gasper, who's a machine in the weight room, Michael DeJesus, who is a machine in the weight room, and others, Pudge, Hunter Warner, those guys compete, and they want to win, and they can taste it. 26 and 21 last year after going 8 and 37 the year before. I mean, you went over 3 times as many games from one season to the next. It just shows where the fire is, and I love that. I love the fact that there's a belief that we can compete and win games and series, and that starts with Coach Ehlers and Coach Lowe and Coach Kowalski and Coach Krebs, but then it also is the senior leadership in the locker room, and those guys I've mentioned and more. Tyler Lund among them as well are huge with that.
Talk about the softball team. They haven't gotten their season started yet, but coming off an outstanding season last year, do you think they can improve and build off of that and, really get things continuing to roll here in that program?
Yes, wow, what a year. Oh, my. That was such a fun ride for everybody that was a part of that. First conference championship of any kind in 14 years. Most wins in program history in 25 years. You win the RSC East Division, so that conference conference thing, and then you go to the RSC Championship Series and win, and have 3 walk-off wins in a 6-day span, to make it to that point. Everybody was just riding on such a momentum high. It was such a shame. It hurt seeing their season end, because everybody that followed that program knew like that. People from Rio Grande are telling you, like, hey, they need to be in. Like, they need to be in the national. They need to get an opening round bid. And I would agree. I mean, but the schedule, just the way it was had been constructed and had already been set before Coach Bradshaw, before we took on the reins, it just people kind of sometimes they don't see. The eye test isn't enough. They have to go off numbers, and the schedule was such to where it wasn't conducive, I guess, to get in. It stunk because I know if this team had gotten to an opening round, could have done a lot of damage and surprised a lot of people. But man, that was such a fun group. I remember sitting in South Charleston about an hour after it ended, and I'm like, man, I cannot leave. That was such a fun ride to watch. But there is a ton of optimism with this group too. I mean, they scrimmaged the Division II Charleston and Dayton won over 5 games and won the Atlantic 10 championship, and went to an NCAA D1 opening round series and played Tennessee tough. And Shawnee State hung right in there with Dayton. They go to Marshall, and I thought had a very impressive performance going against a Marshall team at Marshall that has a lot of firepower themselves and has a very good structure in place. They've definitely battle tested themselves over the fall and played Charleston tough. Charleston won over 50 games and went to the NCAA Division II World Series, and just super tough program. This team can be just as good, if not better, than last year. The big thing with that is going to be leadership components, and that's key with any team. But the 3 people, there were 5 people that left the team from last year's group that were starters. 3 of them in particular, I'll talk about. Cassie Berry, 4-year starter, ace in the hole, DP that hit 333 at the plate, had both of the walk-off hits that scored Brittany Wolfenbarker, won against Rye to win the East Division in 10 innings. That was an amazing game. Then you had the walk-off against St. Mary of the Woods that eliminated St. Mary of the Woods, which set up the third walk-off the next game against Midway, which with a returning player we'll talk about here in a second. And then Brittany Wolfenbarker, another 4-year starter, outfielder, utility player, hit 437. Probably could have been first team all-conference. It can't really argue, though, because we had 8 all-conference players. Getting 8 of your 9 starters on an all-conference team is pretty impressive. She had probably first team all-conference caliber numbers. And both were just terrific. The improvement and the confidence they had and grew throughout their 4 years was awesome. And seeing them, they were the two athletes I've covered the most. So it was extra special for me because knowing them since their freshman year of high school and since I was like about 24 years old, seeing them grow as they have was super special. And then Lauren Spears, to me, it was just probably about as much the heart and soul of the team as anybody. I mean, Lauren is one of the best people. Like, not player-wise, Lauren's great, did a great job catching in at third, 994 fielding percentage, terrific job, best fielder on the team. But her leadership components are just extremely rare to find. Like, Lauren is the type of person that can coach, saw the game, she knows the game, but her character, more than even her knowledge of the game, was what helped this team so much last year. I mean, she was terrific, and that's why she was nominated for and won the 2024 RSC Female Athlete of Character Award, or Female Character Award. She deserved it. I mean, she was so huge for this team. Her faith, her spirituality was so huge for this team, but she just is naturally was a great person. But those three are going to be missed, as is Mariah Horner, a great utility player and a secondary pitcher that filled a role nicely, and great player, great athlete. And then Allison Tom was a shortstop that was dynamic. She didn't hit at 300, but anytime there was a clutch moment, Allison Tom was there to deliver. I mean, it just seemed like with runners on base, or if she was on base, she was going to make something happen, and she did. She came up huge time and time again. Losing her to a knee injury really is what hurt this team heading into the conference tournament, because I think if she's there, the outcome might be different. The team really had a lot of strength and resolve just to make it to the RSC Championship Series without Allison in the lineup. But things happen for a reason. This year, you've got Jenna Christopher and Sierra Dunnigan that are two big-time players. Sierra hit 423 last year, 2 home runs, 45 RBIs. Probably could have won Newcomer of the Year, but Rio Grande had Madison Ogden on the mound, and you could not give it to Madison Ogden after Rio won the championship series and the numbers Madison was putting up inside the circle. It was hard to give it to anybody else. But if there was a Freshman of the Year award, Sierra Dunnigan would have won that in our conference. I mean, she has every bit of potential to be a future All-American. Just a terrific player, poised, cleanup hitter that just produces at every level, whether it's in the field or at the plate, can catch, play third, great fielder, just has everything you could want in a player, and has 3 years of eligibility left. Nasty player. Jenna Christopher, leadoff hitter, hitting 358, 13 steals in 16 attempts, had 3 inside the park home runs last year, is just absolutely can fly. I mean, just super fast, makes things happen on the base pass, great center fielder, great range, and has 2 years of eligibility left, and is going to be another dynamic player that could contend for first team all conference honors. And then you've got Mackenzie Hale, great first baseman, catches everything, fielded over about 98.5% last year, 985. Terrific leader, works tremendously hard in the weight room, very passionate about the program, been a part of it for 4 years, and is setting a great standard and culture herself in it. And then you add others like Genevieve Espinoza, Bianca Bello Diaz, who played at second, and then you have Cameron Davidson, who you've known, and then the freshman class is just nasty. I mean, you've got Sydney Skyver and Ashley Spence, who won the World Series at Wheelersburg, and then Spence went to a Final Four at South Webster, and then you've got Sydney Skyver, who won 2 state titles at Berg, and you've got Emily Moore, who's at West, and did an excellent job there, and Emily Cheatham from Portsmouth, and then you've got Kiera Williams from Medina, who's going to be a very good player I think for Shawnee State as well. And there's so many more you could talk about. It's a loaded group, and this group just really needs with as many freshmen as it has, it's just going to be about experience and seeing game reps. And once they get that, I think it's going to be off to the races. And they're going to have a huge test early with Indiana Wesleyan at Space Coast down in Florida when they start the year. Obviously, there are games before that, but that's the number 12th ranked team in the country that went 42-15 and had an opening round appearance in the national tournament. So that's going to be big. That's going to be a huge test right off the bat. So looking forward to seeing what this upgraded schedule holds and what the Bears can do.
Absolutely. Before we wrap up, let's talk about women's golf, women's tennis a little bit. We'll talk about the men's teams on the next episode. But just tell us about where the programs are at, women's golf, women's tennis. I know you've gotten a chance to see it and obviously work closely with both of those teams. So where are they kind of at this point?
Yeah. So women's golf, they're led by a nice, outstanding 1-2 combination punch of Allie Wellman, who's basically was the one last year, is basically our number 2 golfer, sophomore out of Wayne, West Virginia. Great individual, very charismatic. Came back from 9 strokes down to win the Ohio Christian Spring Invitational, which is super hard to do, to come back from 9 strokes down in any tournament. And then she won RFC Golfer of the Week honors back in April of last year with that effort. Great player that's going to shoot, probably can shoot as high as in the low to mid 80s. And to me, that's a very good score for a women's golfer on the college scene at the NAIA level. She's got a chance to be possibly second, even maybe sneak into that first team all-conference list. And then Sydney Belleville is a golfer from Ironton who has all the potential in the world to be the best women's golfer to come out of Shawnee State in its young history. I mean, she's already shot a 76, matched the lowest 18-hole tournament score in program history, and is just blowing away expectations left and right. She's already won a Golf of the Week award, and she was the SSU Fall Invitational runner-up to the medalist. There was a girl from Georgetown that won that event, but she's nailed and easily surpassed expectations. And they've got a great young group that's working hard in the simulator and getting a lot better every day. So I'm really excited to see where the golf program heads under Holly Hart and Erica Martin. Both of them are doing a fantastic job. The optimism for that program is very good right now, and I think Holly, being as young as she is, and Erica having graduated from the program a year ago after winning, all conference honors herself at the RSC Spring Championships. I think they bring a youth element to it that's helpful for our current golfers in terms of relations and knowing, trends of today and knowing what golfers need as far as that particular age group, because they're between 23 to 26, 27, and these golfers are 18 to 22, so they're close in range, and that's always going to, I think, help when you've got organization and leadership, especially at a young age like Holly and Erica already have in place. So they're doing a great job. And then women's tennis, I got to see them at the Ashland Tennis Center. Coach Jeremiah Greg is doing a great job. I don't think you could ask for a better tennis coach to lead those girls and guys right now, which we'll talk about later in future episodes. But you've got some local golfers on there. Brooklyn Foos from Washington Courthouse, who's a multi-sport athlete who also bowls, that's done a good job at the one spot. And then you've got Miranda Johnson, Maggie Clark, and McKenna Pelfrey, who have also filled in nice roles. Mackenzie Harmon's back, and she's a 4-year veteran leader on this squad now. And then you also have Antonia Ayuela from Spain, and she's just a great individual. I've seen her grow a whole lot over the last year, and I'm really pleased to see where that's going to take Antonia as conference play really kicks into high gear in March, and then over spring break when they go to Hilton Head Island and play some matches down there. So really pleased with the attitude of the girls and where they're heading, and Greg is doing a great job coaching them. They feel at ease, and but they're learning the game and getting better every day at the game, and that's all you can ask for. They're competing hard. I was pleased with the scores I saw at Indiana Kokomo. It showed progress from earlier in the season and earlier in the fall, and that shows to me that the girls have been working hard and they take what Coach Jeremy is saying seriously, and they respect him, but he respects them too, and they're going out and working. And Jacob Freeland did a great job setting up the program and getting it in a great course of direction. I think Greg's going to do his thing and put his stamp on it and take it up a notch. And Jacob did a great job helping Greg in the transition, and Greg's taking it and running with it. And I'm really excited to see where their future lies.
I love it. Good stuff. A lot of great things happening here at Shawnee State University, as we said on the last show. For more coverage, make sure you head over to ssubears.com. Hit that like button on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. We'll have plenty of content coming. We did some one-on-one interviews also with members of the men's basketball, women's basketball teams. Also talked to Drew Lowe, assistant coach with Shawnee State Baseball. That'll be coming to the channel too. So make sure you check those interviews out. For Shawnee State SID, Kevin Colley, I'm Athletics Media Coordinator Ben Spicer. Thank you guys for tuning in to a new episode of Bear Bites, and we'll see you back next time in a couple weeks.